Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great evening. It was cool here in Wichita. Had a pretty stout wind once again from the north. When the wind blows from the north, it's cool. When it blows from the south, it's warm. That big warm-up that is leading to lower than normal temperatures on the East Coast from out west will drift into the state of Kansas over the weekend. So we'll be looking at temps in the mid-70s. Which is I'm all for, and we're supposed to have our first 100-degree weather out west someplace. I didn't see where it was going to be for 2015. So the warm-up, if you look at the jet stream, we've got a rise over the west. We've got a dip over the east. So the cold Canadian Arctic air still finds its way into the lower 48 east of the Mississippi, and doesn't have a chance to get into the West Coast. So we are in a dry weather pattern out west. El Nino and La Nina's effect the last couple of 3 years hasn't brought in the usual or anticipated moisture. California is in dire straits agriculturally. They also are as far as water goes for the cities, but that could be if they got rid of the water, if they didn't have to pump all that water into the San Francisco Bay to that estuary, they could make things a little more bearable, but they won't. The Greens, the watermelons, control state legislatures everywhere, and once they get in power, they're hard to get rid of. So here we are. It's post-auction. We would normally expect a pause day. We came in last night looking for failure to get through 16. It's pretty well held up in the overnight session. 2804, 2808 is support. I think we can go a little bit higher today, especially if the E-mini sells. So we're going to move resistance up to the 16 to 20 area, and we'll make our first sell 15 to 19, followed by 23. How to pick up this spill. 27. I'm expecting a trading range today. The talk is now that Saudi Arabia will be putting ground troops into Yemen. That'll probably hold the sellers back in crude oil, gold, and treasuries until we see that. I'm pretty sure they'll reach their objectives given the lack of opposition. And that's never the problem. The problem is, okay, now that we've taken the land, what do we have to do to hold it? And once they secure Sana'a, the capital, then can they effectively go out and stop the guerrilla activity outside of Sana'a? And Yemen's very mountainous, makes it really, really hard to catch or get these guys. And so it's easy to win a war. Now that we've won the war, now we topple this government, what do we do? And that's what we'll be waiting to see. So today's news is pretty limited. We got third quarter GDP third revision GDP, they're looking at 2.4. The deflator at plus a tenth. Michigan sentiment at 92.1. The talk now is first quarter GDP will be coming in at plus 0.2% for the United States. So once this is out of the way next month, we'll start to get preliminary numbers for first quarter GDP, and it's supposed to be considerably below where it has been. And what we have seen since 2009 is that every formal government, non-government organizations' forecasts for world growth have overstated it by quite a bit. And part of it is they have to. They are going to be just as surprised as you are when, a recession or something hits. And, we didn't see that one coming. So, but economic growth right now around the globe is pretty tenuous. China has an official goal of 7% for 2015. Most people think it'll come in at 5 to 6. Now, that's still pretty robust growth, especially compared to where we've been the last couple of years in the EU, where they are now. but it is below the forecast. And the lower, coming from a 10% growth to a 5 or 6% growth quickly over a couple of 3 years introduces a lot of stress to the economy. Okay, we got volume right here at 04. Yesterday's last rotates up stopped at 9 to looks like 13. So this 8 to 12 area is going to be first resistance. So 7 to 11 will be sell 1. 15 to 19, sell 2. If the E-mini breaks hard this morning, we don't want to be short the financials, nor gold. And crude oil probably won't break because of Yemen. On the buy side, the bottom of value is 21. We've got volume at 25, so 21, 25, buy 1. And 13 to 17, buy 2. My calls usually for a post-auction day or a pause day. That's the most typical occurrence. The war yesterday certainly weighed on the financial markets. The lack of war, things pretty calm. The market financials were negatively impacted by articles coming out of Yemen on the deaths of their 2 main leaders and the success that the coalition was going to have. And the coalition will be successful up until the point they take Yemen over. Now what do they do with it? They know how to handle Islamic terrorists and governments. It's no quarter asked, none given. And we've forgotten that in the West. Okay, we came into gold last night. We thought the 95, 97 area would be a pretty good buy zone. I still think it is. So buy 1, buy 2. On the sell side, we like the sell against 5, so 4 to 6. These are the same numbers we had yesterday. And then 9 to 11. London sold into 5, and we've rejected prices at 95. So we got stops here below 93.50. That's a possibility. If we do a London split, you can see that market is rejecting prices pretty much below 06 and definitely above 05, and we'll have to see how it plays out. So 4 to 6 for the first sell, 9 to 11 for number 2 sell. I know that the numbers are off right here. 95, 97 on the buy, and 90, 92. My drawings are locked to the surface of the screen, and when I move the screen around, those the marks that I've made on the screen don't move. Okay, the euro, we like the short side of the euro. I can't see that anything that comes out from Greece and the European deal on Monday, which is supposed to be, will change a hell of a lot. Greece will say anything and then fight like hell not to have to do it, which shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, it's just, wouldn't you? So our first sell point is going to be against 109. I mean, nobody will cut back their standard of living unless forced to do it. And for those of us who have had to cut back our standards of living, I've never done it, but I've had to do it. And, it really kind of makes you, you don't see anybody else draw up their belts or cut back or do that in positions of authority or responsibility. It makes me mad. The irresponsibility that's comes out of DC. They can't be touched. Every year their budgets, if If they spend everything they were given last year, their budget will go up 2 to 3% off baseline spending. They think they're immune from the economic cycle, and so far they have been. So 75 to 85 will be buy 2. The buck basically, the 20 to 30 area will be buy 1, and we're trying to sell against 109 or the buck. And we'll see if that plays out on the euro on profit taking from the selling that's come over the last couple of days. But I mean, we all wish we were in a situation where we didn't have to ever tighten our belts, and every year we can count on more money, and we're not affected by inflation, and we're never held accountable for anything. I mean, and we've got 6-figure retirement figures indexed to inflation, and we've got gold-plated medical that is subsidized by everybody else. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Our problem is we're the ones that have to pay for it. And the other side will fight like hell to make sure that we continue paying for it. So basically 108 minus market, 109 plus market is what we see here. Okay, crude, I don't think you'll bring in a lot of shorts. A lot of crude oil moves through the Red Sea to Europe and smaller crude carriers. It is a vital link for the Mediterranean and crude oil. So Yemen is important. And if you look at the sea lanes, if you were going to take very, very large crude carriers around southern Africa up into Europe and points farther west, Yemen's in an ideal position if they had to disrupt that. So Yemen it is strategic for the movement of oil through the Red Sea straits for sure, and they're in a position to reach the stuff that's heading around. I could see a Cape of Good Hope, south. I'd have to go back and look at that in Africa. I don't remember. Yeah, Aden has always been an important naval station. Or Aden, however they pronounce that. Never had the pleasure, Fitz. I've been in a lot of places around Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Bahrain, Kuwait, all those good places. But never made it into there. I guess because it was Air Force and they were Navy. So here we are on crude. We've got this breakout basically from 49.50. We like buying against 50. We liked that again yesterday when we wrapped it up. So we don't get stops below 50. And what this tells you is that the professional community that knows that there are stops below 50 isn't willing to press the issue. They're going to cover their shorts before that number. And that's indicative of where they perceive support to be and where the bid is for crude oil. So the 50 to 25 areas of buy 1 may take a 50-50 to get into it. We'll put a question mark there. And then definitely 45.50 to 75, retesting this breakout right here. And on the sell side, 51, 51 and a quarter. It's inside the activity last night. And then 51.50 to 75 for sell too. And I don't think a lot will happen until they start getting feedback on Saudi Arabia's success moving on Sana. And then once that happens, are they going to be able to consolidate that, maintain it? Fighting in the cities is tough. In Iraq, the most recent example of that was Tikrit. And supposedly 20,000 Iraqi troops and Shia militia controlled by an Iranian general went to take that city on, and it's supposedly only a couple 300 ISIS fighters were able to stand them off. that's very, very difficult to take a city. It's very, very expensive, lots of casualties. And there's no good or clean way to do it if you want the city to stay intact. Now, if you don't mind raising or leveling the whole city, it's pretty easy to take. You just bomb every building into rubble. But the governments are willing to do that, and justifiably so. In Tikrit, you got 200, 300 ISIS guys, and you get a population of Tikrit. If you bomb that city into rubble, then you got to rebuild it. And that would stop you. Okay. I think we got pretty good support on the E-mini, 35 to 40, and resistance is 55 to 60, and that's where we'll find ourselves. So 54, 56, sell 1, 59, 61, sell 2. On the buy side, 40, 42, then 35, 37. If the drumbeat of war gets higher, it's going to be hard for this contract to trade up. The economic news hasn't been too favorable, except for ISM and markets numbers, and the unemployment numbers. So it's pretty easy to statistically smooth those. I thought the ISM, the markets numbers were going to be better than the ISMs, but they're not. Guess they want access to the same people that ISM wants access to. Okay, it'll take about 20 minutes to get everything up. I'll see you as fast as I can later.